Have you ever imagined the stories you're going to tell your future kids or your grandkids about what year 2020 was like? Okay, guys, Happy New Year! This is the year 2021, and we're so excited to be in the new year. Welcome to my channel. So, I've always thought about what I would tell my future children or my grandkids about what the year 2020 was like, and oh man, there is just so much. It kind of feels like how you ask your parents or your grandparents about what World War II was like, what the Civil War was like. Stories of things that happened, historical events that happened before we were born or when we were still kids. So I always imagine that my kids would ask me about what the year 2020 was like, and I would probably be like, "Oh, my dear child, hey mama, can you please tell me about the year 2020? I heard that so many things happened in that year." My dear child, when I was much younger, around your same age, there were so many stories about what the year 2020 was going to be like. For a moment, I imagined that by the year 2020, we were going to have like flying cars, we would be able to download food from the internet, so many projections and so many imaginations of what the year 2020 was going to be like. There was even the vision 2020. But the funniest thing is, of all the events that happened in that year, all those visionaries, self-acclaimed prophets were not able to foresee all the things or even a bit of what we saw in that year. The year kind of started off on a rocky start as we opened the year in a very funny manner, I would say. We started the year with the Australian wildfires. There were so many lives that were lost in those wildfires. So many species even became extinct as a result of those wildfires. It was even called the Black Summer. Before we would even be able to put out the fires in Australia, so many families were shattered, and the whole world at large was shocked by the news of the helicopter crash that claimed so many lives, including our ever famous Black Mamba and his daughter, and one very, very renowned basketball coach and his two children. It was really sad, and it was quite funny that people who didn't even know him, I mean, like the coach or even the famous basketballer, people were making it seem like they had had one-on-one interaction with the man. And it's funny, people were saying, writing condolences like, "Oh, the greatest artist." He wasn't an artist, he was a basketballer, for crying out loud. But just so they would feel among the trend, they were just posting every and anything they wanted to on social media. And before we could even finish mourning the death of these people, the ever famous deadly virus, the coronavirus, also known as the COVID-19, came to be part of our midst. It started encroaching countries and cities gradually, and the weirdest thing is, authorities that were supposed to inform leaders of various countries about the presence of this virus so that they would be able to curtail it, make restrictions and all that so that the virus doesn't spread. They didn't alert the world on time. And by the time they told the whole world and all that, many countries had gotten it already. It was too late already, and the world came to an end. For a brief moment, I would say, because malls were shut down, churches were closed, schools were closed, hospitals were swamped. Basically, everything was closed. But the funniest thing is, Nigerian politicians, especially our tourist president Baba Buhari, was forced to do his tourism in this very country, Nigeria. They were forced to visit the cities that they refused to develop. They were forced to use the roads that they refused to construct to travel. And they had no choice, obviously, but to seek hospital care in those same hospitals that they refused to build, they refused to maintain, because, of course, the coronavirus was no respecter of class. It was no respecter of status. It didn't know if you were rich or you were poor. All it knew is it saw lungs and it came to embrace it. It had to infect it. That was the only job he had, and he was doing that. And for once, For a moment, we thought, oh, this was the time. This was when our leaders are going to learn their lesson. They would finally construct our roads. They would finally build reasonable hospitals and equip them. They would finally build better schools and all that, because now they were forced to stay here in Nigeria. They couldn't travel to Germany. They couldn't travel to the UK. They couldn't travel to the US for whatever reason. Be it tourism, be it hospital care, be it everything. They couldn't do it. They had to do it right here. We were all here, all locked up while the whole world locked down. Mask became the new underwear. Face shields became the most needed accessory. Infections increased and the fear of COVID became the new beginning of wisdom. For infections got higher, lungs gave up. Classes moved to the internet. Boardroom meetings were now done on phones and laptops. Religious and social gatherings were all now zoomed, because everything became a virtual affair. And this continued on for several weeks. Then little by little, things started to phase out a little bit and we were able to go outside. But even though at this point everything was now on social media, we had to maintain social distancing. For the amount of social distancing you decided to maintain was up to you. You either chose to be 2 feet apart from each other or 6 feet below. Humans were already losing their humanity, but it was worse for our brothers and sisters in America, especially for the colored community, as the incidences of police brutality on blacks became worse though. Many had to enter the streets to protest and demand for justice for the brothers and sisters who were killed in this inhumane act, and enlighten the people about the importance of black lives. But before they could even say anything further about this, Wakanda was thrown into further sadness as King T'Challa went on to meet King T'Chaka, for our Black Panther was no more. We could only mourn our king for such a brief moment before moving on to join our comrades to protest, moving from Belarus to Hong Kong to South Africa. But we couldn't join them in solidarity for so long, for back home in Nigeria, our young brothers and sisters were getting killed by a terrorist police group called the SARS. Yes, synonymous with the SARS virus, but trust me, they are way worse than the SARS virus. They were supposed to be the special anti-robbery squad, but rather they were robbing and killing our young Nigerian youths simply for looking successful, and in quotes, they were termed to be fraudsters or con artists. Being tired of hearing such stories, these horrific stories and killings, it was time for us to Sorosoki. So we entered the streets to start protesting. We marched peacefully, just so that our voices would be heard and something would be done about these people, this police terrorist group that were terrorizing young people in our country. But what did we get in return? Our young people, our heroes, were shot dead at Lekki toll gate, and of course, the government denied any responsibility, even though there were video footages to prove that the Nigerian army were the ones that did these killings. They denied it, claiming that most of our young people were on drugs and those videos were doctored. After that, we all went back home. And then some citizens who obviously were hungry decided to loot some palliatives that were in quotes supposed to be the COVID palliative to aid people that were struggling. So, as we all saw videos of people that were looting palliatives from the palliative store warehouses, there was nothing we could do about it, because, these people, most of the people that were taking the palliatives were young people, and they might as well have been on drugs, and those videos, we definitely couldn't trust them because they were doctored. They claimed an investigation was set up to investigate the Lekki killings and everything that the young people were claiming that was done to them by the government. And moments like that were times when I wish I was never Nigeria. We moved from nursing our failure from the Sorosoke movement / the End SARS movement to hearing about our Kankara boys that were kidnapped, about 700 of them, on the same day that the president visited the state. Not only were there multiple kidnapping stories, there were also multiple killings by insurgents that were invading and encroaching the northern part of the country. And before the year ran out, they had completely mortgaged the country. But Mama, with all the terrible things that happened, how are you people able to keep your sanity and get through the year? My dear child, we had no choice but to survive it. We had God on our side. And social media was our major getaway / rescue during those times. Because besides movies and music, because it was from one challenge to the next. Starting, I don't remember which one started the year, but at some point, especially during when we were all locked down, it was Bob Daddy, and then it was Don't Rush. I don't understand which one we were not rushing. So many of them that I even lost count, down to the slow-mo at the end of the year. So I don't know if it was they were not rushing to come and do slow-mo at the end of the year. You understand? I really don't know. And then apart from that, there were so many things on social media. Bans, people were throwing bans up and down. You would throw bans and receive bans, You get dragged for filth or dragged for fun. The choice was up to you and how you chose to behave on social media streets. But in any ways, I'm sure you understand what I'm talking about, this social media shaping. So all in all, we thank God we went through it and we are out of it. I am here now. I'm a living witness of people who survived that wonderful year. Thank you for watching and staying till the end of the video. I hope you did like what you saw, and if you did, please do give it a thumbs up. Comment down below what your experiences were about the previous year, both the good and the bad, and what you look forward to in this year. And for me, I honestly look forward to bringing out better content, and hopefully I will be able to bring out content like twice a week, depending on how my schedule gets during the week, during the year as it goes on. And please don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notifications, because we are trying to grow this community. And please share this video with your friends, your family, and everyone who is dear to you. Let us grow this community. So thank you guys. Bye.